dimmigt. Jag gick förbi kyrkan och jag kände mig iakttagen. Inte på dig. Jag försökte skicka tankar till dig. Jag försökte ringa dig. Men du svarade inte. Så jag fortsatte gå.
I come in peace. I mean you no harm. I'm just trying to get home. I'm from beyond the stars. This planet was my people's home long ago, but it's yours now. And I'm just a guest. I just want to get home. Hostile! Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Talking Balaclava. Today we're going over the Blackout Defense Mk.II. Now I'm very excited because this is a first time doing as legitimate gun review on the channel that I've actually ever done. So this is pretty exciting. But first, before we go any further, make sure that you like and subscribe because I know that you're on the toilet. I know you're watching this with your pants around your ankles. Maybe you're drinking a beer, sipping some coffee. But don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Your comments are a sacrifice to the algorithm god. Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Talking Balaclava. This is probably the second intro we've done by now, but today we're going over the Blackout Defense Quantum Mk.II. This is a slick little 13.9 rifle. And like I said before, this is probably gonna be the first most in-depth gun review on the channel to where it's like actually is like a legitimate review where the company hit me up and said, hey, for whatever reason we think that you're qualified enough to do a review. I then informed them, I said, hey, I'm borderline a big chimp / am a big chimp. Why do you want me to review your gun? Which doesn't make much sense because this is literally designed and made by an aerospace engineer and his company. He has legit sent parts on satellites and into space and has done very high-end level of manufacturing. So to me, this was very interesting of a gun to get my hands on because I always wondered what happens when you take an aerospace engineer and make them design an AR-15. And it turns out this is what happens. And it's actually a really fine-tuned machine. It's very well done, very elegant of an AR. It's probably one of the nicest ARs that I've ever owned, if I'm being honest, which it isn't that crazy. It's only like $2 grand. You can really start to push the AR price budget when you start moving into say like the Knights Armament series, but for what you get for this package is actually pretty stellar. So I was very excited to get my hands on it, okay? Full disclaimers out of the way, what is my relationship to Blackout Defense? Well, I've talked to them, been to their company, saw their factory, did the whole tour. It's actually very cool to see an aerospace engineer shift and pivot from doing aerospace thingies to making ARs. And from what I gather, aerospace engineer, the tolerance and the room for error is like none. Like, so you can't mess stuff up. So it was really cool to see that. Really nice people, but of course, this is a tool that may be used in harm's way to defend your life, your family, your freedom. So there has to be a level of non-bias involved where I can't just say, hey, you know, it's a great AR, go buy one. It's like, okay, we're actually gonna put it through its paces as much as I can with the allotted resources given. Now, what are those resources? Well, they gave me 1,000 rounds of PMC ammunition, which I used exclusively for this rifle. And then I also used some KNR ammo from KNR Armory, which a big thank you to them. Shout out to them for supplying additional ammunition that I used on this review. KNR is actually really cool that they're helping out the channel because it's always nice to have an ammo sponsor. So there's gonna be a link for them in the description down below that you can go check out if you're looking to get some ammunition on the low. Gentlemen, another sponsor of this video is going to be Euro Optics. For dialing in all your optics and aerospace needs. For dialing in all your optics and Euro needs, head on over there. There's gonna be a link in the description down below to help you get you to where you wanna go. Euro Optics is of course a excellent option for you. So before we dive into the review, of course, how I set the gun up was of course in your weapon light. So I did a Surefire M300 Unity hot button thingy. It's not a hot button, I think it's just a button. Anyway. Did the Accufire 1-6. I got this for free, so I figured I'd throw it on here. So far I don't hate it. The turrets can pop up. So your turrets pop up and you can adjust them for 0. So I was able to 0 this pretty quick. I've used a number of LPVOs and this was a decent one to use. Nothing too crazy. Then we got the Aimpoint H1 on an offset aerospace mount. Got a, this is gonna be the, yeah, it's gonna be a Radiant Raptor charging handle. And then that's pretty much it. So how did the gun perform? Well, the gun did just fine. I initially did like 500 rounds unsuppressed off the get-go, and then I did 500 rounds suppressed. And when you run a can on an AR-15, typically it beats the gun up some more, so you kind of get more testing bang for your buck, if that makes any sense. So if I sound sick, I'm sorry, I just got over the Rona, so my apologies. But so we're running a can for the next 500. Where I started to run issues was, you know, I got video of this I can throw over here, but when I inserted a new mag and dropped it with the bolt release, I had a little bit of a hang up. It didn't have enough force to send that round home. So quickly what I did was just rack it with a charging handle and the bolt went home. So I think it's just how the gun's tuned with the spring, the buffer spring back here, and how dirty it was getting running it suppressed. I think those in that combination, it caused for not sending the bolt home. So that's something that I talked to Tom, the owner of Blackout Defense. I said, hey, this is what's going on. He's like, okay, no worries. It's just getting really dirty. I was like, okay, cool. So he said there is a break-in factor with this gun because the tolerances are so tight. That's what he told me, and I was like, all right, cool, you're the aerospace engineer. You are leagues and bounds smarter than I, so I'll take your word for it. Literally, this gun's tolerances are so tight that when you install the dust cover, you don't, like, there's not a notch for the dust cover when you initially get this gun. You literally have to take a hammer and like bang it in to make a notch. So that's how like tight of tolerances that you're dealing with. So it's a pretty cool gun, manipulation. So coming back out here, no silencer today, or no silencer suppressor, whatever you want to call it if you want to get autistic about it. It's the same. I had no issues running the gun. I did a quick wipe down at one point on the bolt carrier group, and it was just fine, and then it's still running it rather dirty. So it's been treating me pretty good. This is going to be a 13 9-inch barrel pin weld with a DA 101 brake on there. Use that in conjunction with the silencer from previous in this video. And you're rocking an M-LOK rail. Now the M-LOK rail is pretty cool because it has inside of here, it has these tabs that lock it into place with the upper receiver. So as far as mounting zeros, or as far as maintaining zeros, say a laser, it's not necessarily a monolithic rail, but it's probably gonna be as close as you can get to a monolithic rail, upper receiver such as this. So that's pretty cool. That's a cool little feature. Now, I feel like I'm not going to do this gun justice enough, so there's going to be other guys that recommend you go watch their review on this gun as well. My buddy of mine, Mike from Tactical Considerations, is a good one. When you get into the YouTube search bar, just search up Blackout Defense, Quantum Mk.II, should pop up. So there's guys that go into some really good detail. Of course, staying true to myself, I'm really bad when it comes to like specific details of certain firearms, so we're going to hard and fast Big Chim style, right? I'm just going over the stuff that I like and I notice off the bat. Because I'm a dumb monkey, when you hand me a gun, it's like, okay, cool, there's certain things I look for and want to happen. Overall, I'd say the aesthetics of the gun are pretty stellar. The only thing that I don't like aesthetically, I'm fogging up. The only thing I don't like aesthetically is going to be this notch right here in the mag well, but that's just a visual thing for me. I'm not the big fan. I'm a big classic military look of the AR. So for having a notch like this, I understand I can cut weight technically, and it's technically flared for your pleasure. I mean, it's technically flared, so inserting the mag's a little bit quicker, but to me personally, I like the idea of having it just straight, and then you can attach on, say, aftermarket flared mag wells. give you an option there. So inside the gun, we have a proprietary trigger. Now this is gonna be the Blackout Defense trigger. I think it's gonna be like a 3.5 trigger in this one. It's a very light trigger. We can go ahead and pull the page from Papa Thumb's book. We'll ghost it together. Boop. Right, it's like nothing. Do a little reset. Very light reset. Very little travel, very little play. Yeah, it's very nice. My good buddy Mojo, he often says, you don't need a nice trigger to shoot fast, which is absolutely true, but I think they do help. As someone who's had to work with mil-spec triggers for a long time, I will definitely say when you're running a light trigger like this, it makes shooting it fast really easy. It's a nice option. Now, of course, you notice that this is a slick side upper receiver, so there is no forward assist. Now, this is, of course, how Eugene Stoner initially imagined his AR-15 design, but of course the US government was like, hey, we want a forward assist because things get dirty. Now, I don't care, I'm all for them. I truly don't care as long as the gun works. So if you're one of those guys that's like, hey, I have to have a forward assist, this may be a deal breaker for you. If you don't care, like me, if you like the gun, if it's a cool gun to you, then it's all the same, right? Of course, I've seen guys talk about manual of arms with forward assist. If you have a malfunction to where the gun's not going into battery like this because it's nice and dirty, you just get up in there, boop, with your thumb, you can push it forward into play on the bolt. It's an option you can work around if you had to, right? So that's kind of neat. Then you got the Blackout Defense safety. I'm a big fan of the 45-degree safeties on, you know, civilian ARs. So I will say that I do plan to install maybe a 45-degree safety on this. Got a Magpul grip for storing some Skittles inside, and then got the Blackout Defense bolt carrier group in there. This gun's rather dirty, so it's gonna be hard to see the logo on there, but we'll go ahead and pop open this bad boy. She's nice and taut. She's taut like a toiga. I will say the attention to detail on this gun is rather impressive, and I really do like it. I think it's probably one of my, it quickly became one of my favorite ARs that I owned. Oh yeah, she's nice and dirty, nice and caked up in there. So one thing I'll show you that's really cool about this gun is the attention to detail, especially when it's designed by an aerospace engineer. And it comes with spare parts of these, but this is essentially a little spacer in there that goes for the upper and lower receiver to help with movement of the upper and lower. Because if you ever had an AR-15, and you can feel the upper and lower wiggle a little bit when you put them together. Now, when you're dealing with an aerospace engineer, for him, that's a tolerance that's not allowed. So he had to delete that tolerance and make sure it wouldn't vibrate, because he's an aerospace engineer, and that's just aerospace engineer things that they do. So he went ahead and did that, which I thought was pretty cool. It's always interesting to see how different manufacturers, and especially when you're dealing with a guy that is a high caliber engineer. So I think I've said drinking game. How many times have I said engineer? Are you drunk yet? The LPVO mount is just an arrow mount, so nothing too crazy or fancy there. I find them to be passable LPVO mounts. Overall, I'm definitely impressed by the gun. High level of attention and customization for it, and it's a very aggressively aesthetic firearm. The lines, the curves, it all makes for a good rifle, of course. But, you know, I would see myself actually using this in harmless way. I'd probably just want to make sure I clean it more, because I'm just running through a test, right, so it's nice, dirty, and gunky. But overall, it's a very well-built rifle, very impressive. The barrel is going to be a 1 in 8 twist. Barrel's pretty solid, very well built, so it's good for 5.56 or 2.23. So I think I've been running 5.56 through it, no problem. Only downside too on the handguard is there's no built-in QD point for the handguard, so that's kind of a bummer. So if you wanted to attach that, I put on a QD point right here, so I could attach it, because I like having a sling point far out front. And a cool thing about doing sling stuff, weird and random tidbits, is that you can take 550 cord, run it through the rail, and you can attach a sling wherever you want. You can save some money, you don't need these Magpul QD points, but I had one and I threw it on there. So, and I was debating on painting this particular firearm because the Cerakote job they did on it, it was super I think it looks really good. And it's a nice breakup from the black rifles that everyone has. The options. Overall, I'd give this a thumbs up. I was initially worried about the malfunctions I was having, but after talking to the owner about it, he was like, just wipe it down indoor. It's because you're running it suppressed, dude. And it's like, okay, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid rifle. So far, it's worked its way into becoming one of my favorite rifles, especially the more I use it, the more beat up it looks. It's like that nice artistic flair of when you beat up something nice.
I felt like destroying something beautiful.
So it starts to look better and better. And yeah, maybe I will spray paint it. I'm not sure. I'm debating it. I really wish I had something like this back when I was first getting the gun. So it's really cool to have a weapon that is fine-tuned, a space fighting machine. So that's why we did the space LARP intro. So not bad, not bad. Gentlemen, hey, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to support the channel in any way, shape, or form. Your support is greatly appreciated. Head down to the comments, leave a comment down there. I love reading your comments when I'm on the toilet, so I know you're leaving them when you're on the toilet. If you want to support the channel in any way, shape, or form, Patreon's an excellent way to support the channel, as well as merchandise. Merchandise helps out the channel. If you want to check out Blackout Defense Rifle, there should be a link in the description down below to their website. They didn't pay me for this review. They gave me the rifle, they gave me the ammo, and that's it. So that was my asks, and they delivered on that. So go ahead and check them out down below. Yeah, I think that's everything. I come in peace.